Yeah, what is going on, everybody? Welcome in. Thanks for joining us here. Alarm Fantasy Football, and that's right, baby. You got it. Today's special. It is our Super Bowl preview, full game breakdown. We'll talk DFS. We got our best bets. We got our player props. We got all sorts of fun stuff here. You got Andrew Cooper. You got me, Howard Bender. Johnny and Pemba. Well, I don't know. I think the NBA world in the trade deadline just got the better of him a little too much, Coop. So it's just you and it's just me. And, well, it's the Fantasy Alarm family. So we thank you all for tuning in here. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we appreciate, throwing some comments into the chat. You got some questions, want some advice? We got you covered here. What is up, dude? Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, dude. This is the last one before the long, dark off season where if you're a big football fan, really only lasts 25 days before free agency and the combine and everything. So no games though until September. I'm fired up, man. I think this is going to be a really good one. A really good football game for football fans. You got to put your hate aside if you're a hater of the Eagles or the Chiefs. I know it's difficult for those NFC East guys, especially. I know that is the division of hatred. But you got to put it aside and just enjoy that we're getting on paper, arguably the two best, most polished football teams, right? And it's a really good matchup in what they do. We're going to see a lot of the technical stuff here on display and see who comes out on top, man. But this is going to be a good one.
I think this is going to be a great one. Yeah, my wife is a diehard New York Giants fan, and some of my closest friends are Giants fans. And I actually asked them. I was like, "Well, let me ask you this: Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, the three-peat, the evil, the new evil empire of the NFL, or do you have some love for Saquon Barkley? Enough love for Saquon Barkley that you'll put your Eagles hate aside and." Pretty much it was a clean sweep. Everybody's rooting for the Chiefs now.
Everyone's rooting for the Chiefs. I talked to my Giants buddies at a wedding this weekend, and yeah, it's just the hatred runs too deep. So much deeper than just one player and just one game. It's just you can't root for them, dude. And I think the same with the Patriots and the Jets and the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's like some things you just don't do. The other team would have to be a very special flavor of evil, and I don't think the Chiefs have gotten there. I don't know if anybody could get there for me to root for the Yankees. So it's just the way she goes.
Excuse me? What?
I'm sorry, dog.
Too many. My nosebleed. I mean, I literally just got tagged for no reason whatsoever. It was like immediate. Oh,
too many of those very cool hats in my city and every city in the world. I couldn't even go to Europe on my honeymoon without people wearing a hat. They probably even know what it means. It's just too much, man. So I can never root for you guys. And I understand if anybody wants to root against the Eagles or Chiefs for those reasons. But the people in neutral territories, I think they need to settle down. The NFL is not rigged. Let me tell you. Let me promise you. You and Jim Bowden. I mean, just hearing Jim Bowden chuckle as a former GM, just being like, of course, there are going to be bad actors along the way. But to coordinate every ref and every team and have teams know it and just be like, oh, man, script isn't in our favor this year. It's just impossible. So relax, everybody.
Well, I mean, I said it on yesterday's Fantasy Alarm Show on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, which you guys can tune into every Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. You've got me and Coop on Thursdays and Fridays, me and the GM Jim Bowden Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I said it. I was like, listen, if you genuinely believe that the NFL is rigged, then why is 70% of the money right now sitting on the Eagles?
Right.
Are you that stupid? Like you're going to turn to me in one breath and say the NFL's rigged, the refs favor, Mahomes and everything like that, and yet you're going to lay, your mortgage payment on an Eagles Super Bowl. Like,
I already figured it out. Bender. I got the script right here. Actually, I went through it. It says right here, Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. Nothing about winning the Super Bowl. So. That's the loophole.
Oh.
Is rigged to get her there, and then now you're allowed to bet on the Eagles. That's it, man. That's how it goes.
Could Skip Bayless just be more of a moron? I mean, I
got it right here. He's the best at what he does. You know what I mean?
At trolling, yes.
At trolling, exactly. Yeah, there's a best at everything. Exactly. there's a dude out there who's the best at blowing snot bubbles too, right? There's somebody who's the best at blowing them, and Skip Bayless is absolutely the best at what he does. So kudos to him, man. It's impressive.
I guess it's impressive. I don't know. But I mean, listen, that's just I agree with you. I think that it's just ridiculous that people constantly say it and and whatever, and then bet the other way. And is just, I mean, that's just bad business right there. If you genuinely believe that. Now there's a lot, I mean, so many different angles that we can, approach the Super Bowl with. And like I said, to start, we're going to build the DFS lineup. I'll pull up some DraftKings stuff there and see if we can't get that going. We're going to give some best bets, some prop bets. I've got a full article at fantasyalarm.com right now, which is just a running series of bets. I give you my game bet. I give you my bet on the game total. I threw in a fun little same game parlay that you can take a look at, and then a series of prop bets. And then, of course, across all my social media channels, I'm dropping videos in there of just, like a prop bet a day from now until till kickoff of the Super Bowl. I'm just going to throw a different prop bet out there so you guys can check that out. You'll see it in the shorts here on the Fantasy Alarms YouTube channel. Follow me on socials at RotoBuzzGuy, and you'll be able to jump in on that. Let me ask you this narrative, because this was a relatively new one, and I sort of wanted to bring it up because I figured it'd be fun to troll you and John at the same time, but with Mpemba not there, the question is, if Patrick Mahomes three-peats the Super Bowl this year, where is he in conversation for GOAT status? I mean, I get it. Tom Brady's got 7 Super Bowls. If Mahomes wins this one, it's 4, but it's 3 in a row. And let's talk about the 4 in what kind of a span for his career. I mean, Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls, 20 plus years, phenomenal winning percentage in that front. Patrick Mahomes' winning percentage, that much better.
Right. And again, it boils down to a lot of the arguments like, this is what we got. So if anyone that doesn't remember what we experienced when Tom Brady won 4, and I just so happened to wear this shirt for a particular reason. See how there's 4 Super Bowls on there, a shirt that I got in 2015.
So gross.
When
really?
Tom Brady
still fit into a shirt that you bought in 2015? Mazel tov, buddy. Good job.
The part off screen is a little tight, but but we're still rocking this puppy. And I'll tell you what, when that did happen and the Patriots did win, Tom Brady was not crowned the GOAT. Tom Brady was not crowned the GOAT because everyone come up with these little narratives that are feathers in their cap, right? And I think that a three-peat is a tremendous feather. I think that when you get to 7 Super Bowls for Mahomes and for Brady, you can sprinkle that on there. Be like, wow, he three-peated. Deion Branch was the MVP of a Super Bowl for the Patriots and not Tom Brady. And you can do all those things. When this happened and Tom Brady won his 4th, you know what they said, right? They said to us, Joe Montana never lost. He never lost. He went to 4 Super Bowls. He won 4 Super Bowls. That was an argument in his favor. Forget all the first round knockouts. Those actually helped Joe Montana in those people's eyes. Losing earlier helped. He never lost a Super Bowl. And it wasn't until Brady won 5 or 6 that people started coming around and saying, okay, whatever. For me, I can look at it this way and say, if they both have 7, let's see all the stats, and you can put Mahomes ahead. But until you get to that point, it's tough. And while everyone qualifies it that way, then we have to do it that way. And if Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and guys like Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers, who are statistically better in every way, including in the playoffs, if Super Bowl is going to be weighed that way, then that's the way it's going to be weighed. So that's where I look at it. But like Patrick Mahomes, man, I think in my opinion, if he wins this year, let me ask you, if he wins this year on the GOAT hierarchy, is he ahead of Joe Montana now? Because Joe Montana was right. That's so tough because Joe Montana has so many iconic moments, the catch and all these things. And it's just like, and him and Bill Walsh and everything. It's like, I think the three-peat maybe puts him ahead or puts him on the same page, but it's tough to even go there, right?
I think it is tough to go there because, yeah, I mean, Montana just an unbelievable. But I mean, listen, I guess I might put Mahomes ahead of him just in the sense that it is a different game now. It's a much different game. And let's face it, it's faster, it's hard hitting. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, you know, to win a Super Bowl. I mean, was it easier in the 90s, in the late 80s and early 90s? Was it easier for a team to, repeat in a Super Bowl championship? I can't say whether it's going to be easier or not, but it is a different game. And
I'll say this.
Mahomes does bring a lot of different elements that Joe Montana never did.
I think the great point about the eras when you're going there is no salary cap. Like, right, you can't just go out now and Eddie DiBartolo can't buy a plane and give Deion Sanders $1 million. And players were literally holding out, being like, I want to go to the 49ers. Patriots, what was it? Russ Francis. He was like, I don't want to play here anymore, but I'll play over there. Right. It's like it was a crazy era for that kind of thing. So you could make that argument. So I think Mahomes, I mean, he's already pretty close. But if he does win, I'm gonna have to mute Mahomes GOAT on Twitter for a little while. Just for a little while.
Just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. All right. Yeah, listen, again, I wanted to antagonize you a little bit, but
I know you did.
Whatever.
I was listening on the radio last night when you definitely on purpose were like, how many Super Bowls does Brady have? Like 3, 4? I was like,
I said 5. I gave him 5.
I was like about to take a bite out of my phone. I was like 7. I was washing dishes, about to wake the baby up, going 7. I texted Josh Wagner. I was like, you correct him.
On the other side, I mean, I guess we have to, shout it out to the Eagles. Because listen, shout it out to the Chiefs is just par for the course. And if you look at the consistency with which Andy Reid, has working with this team, Matt Nagy back as the offensive coordinator. So there's familiarity there. It's Mahomes, it's Kelsey. The wide receivers have kind of shuffled around a little bit, and that's going to be, interesting. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, different players that we're definitely in on as we break this game down. When I look at the Eagles, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due, because this is a team that got healthy at the exact right time. And even though Jalen Hurts was a little banged up here in the playoff run and the tail end of the season, like, this team really came together and just put together an absolutely spectacular run. I don't know how they would have done against the Detroit Lions. I have no idea. That's irrelevant now, right? I mean, could Detroit have beaten them? Yeah, of course they could have.
Right, and we don't know. Again, even if they played that game, Detroit was missing their best defensive player and about 5 other great players. So there would have been a bunch of ifs and buts. There always will be in the NFL. That's why it's so hard to win. So you know what? We got to celebrate the guys that are there. And the Eagles have a bunch of guys that are always hurt themselves, and they're actually healthy for once, right? So we're getting a great one here. Like, it's so rare. Like, think about the 49ers when they got to the Super Bowl, or the year they lost with Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback. It's like, the little things can happen along the way that make this a bad game. That's why we should just be happy that it's shaping up to be a great one.
Yeah, I think it is. And, and I've said it before, out of the different combinations that we could have gotten in the Super Bowl based off of the conference championships, I think Eagles Chiefs is definitely the best matchup. I don't want to take anything away from the Buffalo Bills. They had a great season. It's a great run, but Chiefs are just, it's a stronger team. It's definitely a stronger team. So let's talk about some of the key matchups that we're going to be looking at for Sunday's game, because I mean, there are a ton of things, different angles that we can look at. But I think the first and foremost, I think the most important matchup that we're going to see is Saquon Barkley against the Chiefs run defense. Like, what is, like, because, I've done all sorts of crazy stuff here, and you'd be so proud of me, Coop. Like, this page is filled with like stats and data and all sorts of stuff. I dug in. I had
is that Jim Coventry over there that I'm looking at with the page, with the pages and pages and pages of notes?
I mean, I sat there and it was like, I want to shout out to, Fantasy Points Data, Player Profiler, Next Gen Stats. I mean, I've been sitting here and I've been looking at route trees and where people are lining up on the regular and snap counts and everything that that I would normally do for a DFS weekend, right? Like, I don't know, pick a week 16, like that kind of thing. But I'm doing it all on one game. So it's all
hyper focused, dude. And
hype.
the problem with this game, because I've been looking at the same stuff, is that once you get to so for the run game, let's look at the run game first, because the pass game is where it really gets complicated. But the run game, I mean, like that battle alone makes me want to, and not to spoil anything, but it makes me want to put money on the Eagles with my finger hovering over the live bet button, ready to switch to the Chiefs based on what, you know what I mean? Like with Spagnuolo, like I was seeing some stats from, I think Rich Rebar said that he's never had a singular running back go for over 90 against him in a playoff game, which is just like, it's crazy that, I mean, this guy could be the first coordinator to go into the Hall of Fame based on how well he's done at shutting down what other people want to do. So it's pretty dangerous business, and it makes that first drive or two is going to determine, at the very least, I think the over, but potentially the fate of the Eagles. Because
I don't know what I did here, but I'm trying to get this all set and squared away here for you and me, and I just blew it. And
yeah, pull that back. Well, you can pull that back in and hide it. There we go.
Well, there you go.
I'll pull it up. Do you want me to pull it in?
I think we got it. I think we're all set. Let me go back and fix a couple of things. What are you doing? Stop it.
I'm hiding it. It's good. It's fixed. It's great.
Well, now I gotta go back in. See, this is what happens. We need you, John Impemba. We need you.
Impemba not behind the glass.
Impemba not behind the glass here, but wait, I want to make sure that I get everything, because we've got a lot of stuff that's going on right now. First and foremost, that QR code right up there, it's a 7-day free trial for Fantasy Alarm. And I in all honesty, there might not be a better time to do just that, because here's what we got going on here, Coop. We've got this Super Bowl sale going on, and you can see the ticker right there at the bottom. All right. FantasyAlarm.com/big game. Promo code big game gives you 50% off for the next 6 months. That's our entire off season here for the NFL. So that's the deal that we've got going on right now. But the Monday after the Super Bowl, John's lurking in the background now. Go away, John. We don't need you anymore. We got
we got to figure it out, dude. We got to figure it out. That's funny, John.
He's like creeping in here. Anyway, the day after the Super Bowl, the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide drops. So if you get a Fantasy Alarm subscription right now, not only are you going to get all of our Super Bowl coverage and all the best bets and everything that we bring to the table there and everything that we've got going on, like we get all of that. And then the draft guide drops on Monday. So you're going to get a sneak preview out of everything from my baseball rankings to strategy articles to the first incantation of the cheat sheet, all of that right there. Now, if you cancel after the 7-day free trial, well, then you lose all that access. But if you maintain that subscription, well, then guess what? You get all of that stuff 50% off. There is no better deal going on right now. Chef recommends. Hit that QR code right over here over my shoulder, or see there at the bottom, fantasyalarm.com/big game. All right. The point that I was making, let's talk about the matchup here, Saquon Barkley going up against the Chiefs. Because here's the thing, like Steve Spagnuolo, breaking down his defense, loves the two high safeties. But you can't do that if you're going to try and stop Saquon Barkley. Single high safety, sure. Heavy blitz package, yes, that's definitely going to be a must. Is that going to be enough, Coop? Like, where do you see Saquon finishing out? I think his rushing yard prop is sitting at like 110.5 right now.
Right. Yeah. And when you look at the long boy for him, it's set for the big one, right? Like 25 or so. Is it still bouncing around in there? 24, 25 hour? for the longest run prop for him.
His
I mean,
longest, I think his longest run is what were we looking at before? I think it was like 23 and a half.
that's what I mean. I think that's what it's going to boil down to, because in these games, he's been breaking off these massive runs, and he's got such incredible vision that, I mean, that's going to be the difference maker in him breaking that 110 or not. Is that, does he have the 40, 50, 60-yard run? Because I don't think there's a world where you keep him under, 60 yards or so, 50, 60 yards, just based on brute force volume alone. Like when you look at the charts of every team's play calling and EPA, and you have run over here and pass over here, they're in the far left corner. Like their run to pass, because of how run heavy they are and how successful they've been, they haven't had to pass much. And their run to pass, when they, and essentially they've won what, like 10, 15, 13 games in a row, where they lost one game in that stretch. They when they run, they win. And then that's what they want to do. So I can't see him having under 70 or so, but whether or not he hits that big one is going to determine to me whether he hits the 110, because I really think they're going to some degree sell out to keep him at bay.
Are you betting that long boy? Are you betting it?
I already have I have two long boys already in, and one is the ground boy with Saquon Barkley. I think it's just, and again, when I bet the Super Bowl, I have a couple bets that are like serious bets, but I mostly bet for fun. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see me bet the under on punts, even if I think that's the case. And there's something about cheering for the long run. There's something about cheering for the tackle monster that just makes the game better, as somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game besides protecting the legacy of Tom Brady. Right. So, like, for me, I'm trying to make the party fun. Like, there's nothing better than when your guy Saquon Barkley busts off a 60-yard run and everyone's going crazy, and then you just turn around and you say, "Oh, by the way, I just made $100 on that because I said that would happen." Like, now you're talking.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm throughout the course of the season, it's a couple of bets here and there. I've never been like baseball. I'll volume bet, right? Because there's so many games every day, and there's so many different things that during the regular season, I'll focus on some DFS, and then I'll drop in game bets. I prefer to bet game bets, right, as opposed to player props. But given that it is the Super Bowl and my extensive research here,
got to take advantage, and it is the Super Bowl, so you got to load up.
I'm volume betting it. So my article over at fantasyalarm.com is just going to, it's going to be filled. I'm probably going to have, by the end of the week, like 15 to 20 bets thrown down on there, and some will hit and some won't hit. And the ones that will hit will hopefully keep me in the black, as opposed to the other side, ending up in the red. So I did bet Saquon Barkley's long boy, ground boy there for the 23 and a half. I did that for Josh Wagner. I didn't do it for you, Coop. I did it for Josh Wagner.
We
talked about this, right?
He does love the ground boy.
It's been in front of us all season long, right? The year of the running back, and none of us were betting ground boys.
Not until that Jahmyr Gibbs game, where we kind of stumbled upon it, and we were like, I think we might have driven the ground boy market, because once we started saying it on the show and betting it, I noticed the ground boys were trickling up with my sports book. Maybe my book is blanking me, because I feel like they've been trickling. At one point, you could get a Jahmyr Gibbs 17.5-yard ground boy. Those are the days, right?
Those were the days. All right, so we're betting the ground boy there on Saquon Barkley. You're never going to stop him.
Right.
Can you contain him? Can you limit the damage done? Yes, you definitely can. I think his carries prop was like 21 and a half.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think that's too high. I thought that was too high.
Yeah, great point from Mile High Luke. So not just 90 yards in playoff games, but never allowed a 100-yard rusher as the DC. Is that true?
Never?
Probably. So he's probably allowed 100+ yards to running backs in general, but maybe a singular player's never had a 100-yard rushing game. I don't think Mile High Luke would say that if it's not true. Plus, he's pretty plugged in with the Chiefs. So,
shout out to everybody in our chat room right now. Mile High Luke, who's always been there. Mike Lanzalotti's in here. I see Skinny McKinney floating around there. Yeah, old man battles technology. Thanks a lot. Skinny. All right. let's go to a different angle here. Let's talk about this because again, diving in on the research has gotten me. So if Spags isn't going to use two high safeties, and he'll go with the single high safety, a lot of man coverage from the
Mhm.
Chiefs. You're probably going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie on AJ Brown, right?
Mhm.
Chiefs pass defense though funnels targets towards the slot. And how about this stat? You ready for this one here, Coop?
I'm ready.
8 times this season, you've seen Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown, and Devonta Smith on the field together. Of those 8 games, 55.7% of the time, Devonta Smith lined up in the slot.
Mhm.
So I ask you this: do we favor AJ Brown, who, I mean, let's face it, if you're talking about him going deep and it's, and there's going to be a lack of safety help coming his way, do you favor him or do you favor Devonta Smith, who might end up with a lot of that work, especially if they go with 3 receiver sets and you got Jahan Dotson on the outside on one side and you move Devonta Smith in?
I think you're right. I think that I'm staying away from AJ Brown. And I'm staying like I think they're gonna sit there and say, okay, if we're gonna lose, we're gonna make them go to Devonta Smith, make them go to Dallas Goedert. These guys that have been streaky and either they show up, they sometimes don't, or even better, if they can focus on those 4 guys. That is the one thing uh, that's really hurt the Eagles and certain other teams too, the 49ers and the Dolphins. Some of these teams use 4 players and that's it. You know what I mean? Like how many times has somebody stepped up out of the blue for teams like the Chiefs or even teams like the Buccaneers, where it's like, Jalen McMillan or Kate Otten? Like with this team, Jahan Dotson doing nothing. Like, are you going to bet on Kenneth Gainwell? Or are you going to like these guys aren't doing it? They're really not contributing. They basically say, here are our 5 guys. If you include Jalen Hurts, our guys are better than your guys. We're going to beat you that way. So I think if you think the Eagles are going to win, you should be placing your bets on Dallas Goedert. You should be placing your bets on Devonta Smith.
I mean, yeah, if you look at it, right, just targets alone in the last 2 games for the Eagles here in the playoffs, the only wide receivers who have seen targets are Brown and Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
I
that's
went through I this just reminded me, I went through some crazy circular logic the other day when I was looking at MVP bets. Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I found one that was like Mahomes minus 125. Sorry, it was Mahomes plus 105 versus the field at minus 125. And I'm thinking to myself, I could take the field against Mahomes. But then I started thinking, wait a second. If Mahomes doesn't win, that means the Eagles won. So wouldn't I just bet the Eagles money line? And then I'm like, wait, I don't want to bet the Eagles money line. So I just went through the whole thing of like, if you're gonna, it's like there's almost no other bet because who else on the Chiefs could like? I guess Kelsey, but what are the odds that Kelsey's the MVP or somebody else is the MVP? So small.
very doubtful. I mean, like,
Someone's
you
got to
mentioned
catch
Deion
10
Branch
balls.
winning the MVP that year when he had like 10 catches,
10.
140 some odd yards and the touchdown. I that's the thing. I don't see anybody on the Chiefs. I mean, Kelsey could
Right.
be that guy, but I think that if Kelsey is that guy, you got to give it to Mahomes because of probably what he's gonna do. But I don't see Hollywood Brown,
No.
DeAndre Hopkins, or any of those guys really having that explosive of a game.
If DeAndre Hopkins is Super Bowl MVP, no. No. So yeah, it's just not gonna happen. And the thing
Oh,
is,
Jim's got DeAndre Hopkins catching the game winning touchdown at plus 3,000.
I do not see. I kind of like that, but like he would also have to have 10 catches because the very next year after Deion Branch had the MVP, so the year before Deion Branch was the MVP, he also had a ton of. So the year he had the touchdown, the 10 for 143 in the touchdown, he actually wasn't the MVP. It was the next year he caught 11 passes and was the MVP. So he had that crazy performance and wasn't the MVP. James White had 14 catches, which is still the record today. He wasn't the MVP. They desperately want to give that award to the quarterback.
Oh,
If there's any excuse, they want to give it to the quarterback. So if you're going to bet anything, you bet Jalen Hurts. But I'm not staying away from it. I couldn't.
I'll tell you what, the funny thing, like, it's so funny you talk about like the circular logic. Did you hear me on the show yesterday? I actually had them pull the audio. You've seen The Princess Bride.
Yes.
That scene where it's Vizzini and Wesley, and they're sitting opposite each other, and it's the goblets,
And the goblets. Yeah.
and Vizzini starts going through like his whole thing. Well, I couldn't have put the poison in front of you because you would have thought that if I was going to be doing that, but you bested my giant, which means that you're strong. So that I could have put the poison closest to you, but you bested my spend. And just the whole
back and forth, yeah.
Back and forth, back and forth. I was like, that's how I feel right now setting up player props and, and bets for this game, because I'm going through it and I'm like, okay, yeah. So Barkley could do this, Brown could do this, Devonta Smith could do that. And it really just circular logic is killing me.
The craziest one is the Chiefs offense versus the Eagles, Chiefs pass offense versus Eagles pass defense, because the Chiefs are the best in the league at using bunches and pick plays and motion, and the Eagles are the best in the league at using complex if this then that schemes to cover that exact thing. And trying to untangle that can of worms to figure out what's going to happen is ridiculous. Well, my conclusion.
Oh yeah, I want to hear your conclusion because I've got one too.
My conclusion is stupid. I think I know what yours is. My conclusion is I looked at that bowl of spaghetti, that pickup sticks, and I just said to myself, you know what? At some point they're going to screw up and Xavier Worthy is going to escape. Xavier Worthy, long boy, 20.5. I think that for me, because dude, watch. I went back and watched a bunch of film, and it is as much like the Chiefs offense. You get what they're doing. They're sending one guy in motion, then sending a second guy in motion to figure out if you're in man or zone, right? Which that I understand. When you watch the Eagles defense, there's no way to know what the rules are. They have some complex rules where it's like, if this guy releases vertical, Cooper DeJean picks him up, and if he doesn't, then this guy takes him. And you'd have to know what their interior rules are. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me, whether it's zone or man. I just someone that actually knows the playbook is the only people that know who's going to cover who. That's why that team is so tough. It's not man, it's not zone. It's a set of complex rules. And I think that when you get complex like that against a team that does the things the Chiefs do, somebody's going to escape at some point. And I think it's going to be Worthy. So that's where I landed. But the Eagles defense is crazy.
Well, I'm gonna, with you with a little something here.
Hit me.
So first and foremost, yeah, going through it all and looking at Vic Fangio and his tendencies and everything that he does. The Eagles this season have been predominantly using a mix of both cover 4 and cover 6 zone.
Right. It's cover 6. That's that like weird one, right?
What that does is that takes away the perimeter, and it kind of takes away some of the deep passing further downfield, but it leaves the middle of the field open.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, so you're looking at a lot of crossers, and I think we're looking at a lot of tight end. Like, I think that, Andy Reid, if you're going to leave the middle of the field open and you're going to be paying attention to Travis Kelce a ton, Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions at plus 110, Coop.
I mean, if you're going to go there, and I think that's a DFS value too. I mean, it could definitely be there. I've been thinking hard. Like, so if you're the Eagles and you're going to go man to man, like everyone's saying you have to, like people are saying, if you can't let Mahomes get the ball out quick, right? Like in games where you force him to hold on to the ball, that gives you the best odds of winning. And going man to man is the way to do that. But when you do the matchups, who covers Kelce? Because you can't use, like, Zach Bond's great, but you can't use him the whole game. On Kelce, first of all, it wouldn't work.
Well, second of all, this is where losing to Kobe Dean was like a huge thing. This is why Tyler Higbee, Zach Ertz, this is why these guys were eating up the Eagles in the middle of the field, during these last couple of games.
Yeah, so it's like, I think the tight ends are going to be huge, man. Noah Gray, dude, let's go. I'm getting in on that one. I didn't have that one.
See? But here you go. And I don't want to listen because I love Xavier Worthy. I do. But you ready for this one here? Screen coverage for the Eagles. Because this is the thing. This is like, we heard Andy Reid talk about this, right? We now finally get there. Now that Hollywood Brown is healthy again, we now get to, use Xavier Worthy the way we want it, right? And how many times have we seen, the A dot is shrunk, screens, little like design plays where he's like getting the ball to him so that he can use his speed and run in space. However, the Eagles have allowed the fewest yards per game versus shallow throws. They've also given up the second fewest yards per game versus screen passes, design screens.
The Chiefs, I got to check for this year, but the Chiefs last year the Chiefs and Dolphins ran like 30 more wide receiver screens than any other team. Like it was crazy. So if they're shutting those down, that could be trouble. Okay, so where's the bet? Give us the bet. I want to know what are you leaning like? So it's Noah Gray. If you're betting a wide receiver, you going any? Are you going in on anybody?
So I'm like waffling here. I'm locked in on the tight ends. I'm locked in on Kelsey, and I'm locked in on Noah Gray because Noah Gray's props are they're low. They're super low, as they should be, and I'm fine with that. My big issue here is which is what wide receiver fits the most. Will Xavier Worthy do more crossing routes? Because the Eagles have been terrible against crossing routes. I think they've given up I think it's the 11th most yards per game via crossing routes, like yards after the catch. And that's what they want Xavier Worthy. But I'm like, is it Hollywood Brown? Does he go down the middle of the field 10, 20 yards, across the middle, and that's where we find him? Or is it DeAndre Hopkins, right? I mean, he doesn't get the separation that you want him to get anymore, but he does do well in contested catches. And if you're throwing over the middle of the field, does DeAndre Hopkins become that guy? So I haven't settled out on my wide receiver bet yet, but I am definitely locking down the tight ends.
Yeah. We got to who runs like the best like arrow routes or like double move routes, because the way to beat cover 6, my understanding, those like the palms coverages where it's like you got the set of rules, is you want to trigger those rules and then change your direction. Where it's like where they say, okay, if this guy releases vertically, you go with him. And the way to beat that is to trigger whatever it is and then go another way, which is why they run the arrow route, which for those that don't know is if you see a guy running out and then go directly back inside the way he was going, they call it a lot of different things, but we always called it an arrow. Those routes can beat that type of coverage pretty easily. And that kind of jives with you're going across the middle, which to me feels like Hollywood or Xavier Worthy more than it does DeAndre Hopkins, because DeAndre Hopkins and Kelsey this year have just kind of been like crushing zone. They're good at like finding spots in zone and kind of lumbering downfield and turning around, but they're not really making explosive cuts.
No,
either of them. No,
they're not. Mile High Luke says
here. You know what line I want?
I want
a line on will there be a successful lateral in the game? I think Kelsey has been dying. To throw a lateral. And if he gets any opportunity, I wonder if there's chat. If you can find that one, I'm getting in. I don't care what the line is.
I bet that there would be an onside kick in this one too. I think this is a close game. I do, and I think that it's going to come down to it at the tail end, and somebody's going to need to try an onside kick.
So that just right there, Howard, that bet tells me this offseason they need to change the rule about announcing the tight ends. Announcing the
onside kick.
That's so stupid, because that means at some point the refs are going to announce that you've won your bet. That is so dumb, dude. Just Howard Bender has won his bet. Now everybody line up. It's like, no. I want the surprise onside kick. Sean Payton Saints onside kick. Or even just in general, like as a fan, when you're watching, there is that moment where you turn and you say, oh, wow, they're lining up for an onside kick. But now it's like this whole announcement that's like, okay, like give us something. Give us a little surprise. You know what I mean? Let us have some things.
Surprise! Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
No, that's not a surprise. Nobody wants that surprise, dude.
So Scott Kobe wants to know, is this a fade Kelsey type of game, or is this a try to get both tight ends in a DFS lineup? So, I mean, listen, you're a tight end guy. I'm a tight end guy. We've kind of talked about this over and over again. Those are probably the three players who I am focused the most on, right? My favorite player prop, because you gave out your Xavier Worthy long boy. Yeah. My favorite player prop is actually Dallas Goedert over 4.5 receptions.
Yeah, I like that. Right. Because there are certain teams that's one thing that they've been giving to teams, right? And what I've been doing my film study on certain players, Roma Dunze and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mhm.
I've realized how many teams are willing to just give teams certain things. All year long, against the Cardinals, teams were just saying, yeah, go ahead. Throw a 4-yard pass to Trey McBride. Like, go ahead and do it. And he was taking it every time and not letting any plays develop, and it worked. I think that's a big reason why that team lost. And I think the Chiefs are basically saying, like, yeah, go ahead, throw it to Dallas Goedert. You have A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and Devonta Smith. Absolutely. Throw it to Dallas Goedert every play. I've seen the Rams fall for them. Remember that year that the Rams lost like the last 5 games of the season and Tyler Higbee caught 10 passes in every game?
Yes.
Teams just realized that Jared Goff, they're like, if we just do this, Goff will throw it to Higbee and then they'll kick a field goal. So I think that's a great bet. I think that the Chiefs have been doing that kind of all year. So are we about to go 4 tight end set in the DFS lineup with Grant Calcaterra?
I don't know if I can. See, that's the thing. I don't know if I can go with Calcaterra.
Where do we draw the line? I was looking through because I'm like, okay, where's our ringer play? I'm like, who's actually running routes from the like cheap guys? And there's really nothing at the bottom. If you go to the bottom and scroll up, you got to scroll up pretty far to find anyone that ran a single route last week.
What do we want to? What I'll tell you what. Let's just go with the flex here right now because I brought this up just for funsies, right? For the time being, we'll build a more serious lineup, but let's just say that
Calcaterra ran 5 routes last week. Justin Watson ran. I was just looking at 6, I think, and then every person below those 2 players did not run a route, did not do anything. Like, you're gonna start Nico or Remigio, like.
Oh, you're on. Oh, this is. I was just sitting there. It's so funny. I brought this up, and I was like putting it in on my window here. You actually have it on yours. I put in Kelsey Goddard.
Oh, that's Gray. Oh, I'll take that down. Yeah. Wait. So yours isn't in here then?
No, mine's not in here. But
your screen. Or do you want me to just put in the team on mine?
No, put it in on yours. I don't care.
Okay.
So skip the MVP for right now. Just go to the regular flex.
Okay.
And throw down Kelsey Goddard and Noah Gray. If we're gonna do this, like if we're gonna go and we're gonna make this happen here for us, then you gotta.
I'm surprised how cheap Noah Gray is. That's actually nice.
Super cheap, right?
Well, they would juice him up for a while.
So I don't want to go with Calcaterra. I won't do that.
No.
But
5 routes.
The question is like, what are we looking at here? Who are we putting into the captain seat? Like, do you just throw Saquon Barkley into the captain seat, or do you use one of the QBs?
I don't think you do put Barkley in the captain seat. I think it's got to be one of the QBs.
Okay.
It's got to be. I think it might have to. I mean, it almost has to, because if we're not, if you work it backwards, we're not going to use AJ Brown, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are we going to use Devonta Smith?
I don't think so. We can if you want to.
I don't want to. So then I think the cap has to be Mahomes then.
All right. So if the cap has to be Mahomes, go ahead. Let's put that in there. Still 8,700 for each player. If we're gonna use Barkley, then it puts us down to, oh my goodness. Do you want put Mahomes in the captain seat, Barkley there, and then Hollywood Brown is right there for you.
For the exact amount?
And yeah, you're using all your money, which means that everybody's gonna have this.
We're gonna If we are split $1 million 7,000 ways
with our 8,000 best friends.
I don't know. I kind of like it though. Is there anyone cheaper than Hollywood that we prefer? Just a quick scroll it.
Well, I told you I was looking at DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
If you don't like him,
he's fine.
You don't have to. Who else do you like?
I'm just surprised by DeAndre Hopkins, like that he really has not been playing. Like, he played 12 snaps last week.
I know.
What the heck? And he's gonna do it again and catch the game-winning touchdown. And Jim's gonna. Unbelievable. Okay, so let's put this one in. You want to build another one? Because that was too easy.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's build another one.
All right,
Bang it
this
in.
one we're putting Calcaterra in.
Why? Why are we going to go with Calcaterra?
No, we're not. We're not. I'm just messing with you. That's not, we don't want to do that. All right, chat. What direction we going here?
Oh, yeah. Let's hit up the chat for this one here. Let's see what they have to say.
Could Hurts have 2 rushing TDs? Scott Kobe, you're right.
Yes, he could.
So, do you want to do a Hurts lineup then?
Let's do it. Put him in the captain seat.
I think we got it.
Right. This is our official tush push lineup
This is
that we're
push
going to build.
lineup. This is the Vulture, TD Vulture. They sell out to stop Barkley. They have to throw. So, okay, our narrative earlier was that Trent McDuffie covers AJ Brown.
Uh-huh.
So let's start. Let's go Smith and Goddard, because we're not going to start. I mean, in terms of other Eagles that even ran like any routes, like we're not going to start Johnny Wilson.
No.
John
Smith and
Dotson.
Goddard is fine. If we're going to if we're going to lock down like Hurts in our captain seat for the rushing touchdown aspect, and Smith and Goddard are going to be in there as receiving targets, I think you almost need to go with Mahomes in this sense. And we'll just treat this as like a fade Saquon Barkley lineup.
Yeah.
If you go Mahomes, at least you get the slice of whatever passing is there. So if you go Mahomes, and what if we pay down for Noah Gray? What does that leave us? Because Gray is only 2,800 here. 8,400 for a play. Xavier Worthy, Kareem Hunt.
So because we didn't even talk about it, dude. Kareem Hunt versus Isaiah Pacheco. How do you feel about that? I'm surprised that Pacheco, because in our minds, guys come back from broken legs and then they're just the guy they were before. But I don't know. He doesn't look good.
He doesn't look good. I said, you and I kind of, I don't think we didn't exactly butt heads the last time we had this conversation, but we were definitely on opposite sides of the of the thing, because you were citing Isaiah Pacheco's rib injury as the reason that he sucked ball so much.
And I thought that
broken leg.
I thought that too. Yeah, because it had to be the rib injury. That was my thought. And then they had 2 full weeks off because they didn't play week 18 and they didn't play the bye week. And I was like, this guy's got to be fine, but he does not look fine.
Dude, I like Kareem Hunt in this lineup here. Listen, it's Kareem Hunt over Isaiah Pacheco. He's out snapping him. He's out touching him. If you want to look at the fact that you get more versatility. Isaiah Pacheco is not really a pass catcher. Can he? Sure. But you'd prefer to have Kareem Hunt on the field. I think he's got more speed. So for me, it's Hunt over Pacheco easily.
Dude, these are all the DraftKings pricing this week is just a bunch of traps to get people to play the same lineup. Because so they want you to start Worthy. When you put him in there, and you take Noah Gray out, let's say you were to take Noah Gray out, it gives you just enough to put in DeAndre Hopkins. It does not want you. If we were to have built this lineup the other way, we would have had to look at DeAndre Hopkins' name and then scroll down and click Noah Gray, which I think is going to make this lineup actually fairly unique, despite the number of good players in it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, for me, you have to leave money on the table.
Right.
Because of all the permutations where it fits exactly like that first lineup that we did, other people are going to do that. That. But if you know that you're leaving money on the table, and this is strictly for showdown lineups. This is not for regular DFS during the season. But if you're talking about specific showdown lineups, you have to leave some money on the table because you have to find ways to differentiate yourself from the rest of the herd.
Right. If we go and Mile High Luke goes Juju over Noah, see what that leaves up. That would leave even more money because Juju's cheaper than Noah Gray.
Are we in on what do we think about Juju Smith-Schuster here? I was thinking about him and whether or not he was going to be able to, run some crossing routes.
If the Eagles were susceptible to the screen, I'd be more interested, but they're not. They're the best team in the league against the screen. So Don't like that.
Okay. I like this lineup here that you got up there on the board.
Yeah, let's put it in.
All right.
And I'll let you know how many millions we win. $5 million showdown.
What's
I'll let
first
you know.
prize? What's first prize? Is
I think
it
it's
the cool mill?
I think it's
Just click
it's a
on
million
the
bucks.
yep, there it is, $1 million. All
Millionaire Mike.
right.
The boat. I'm not buying a
50%
boat.
of that goes Coop's way, 50% of it goes my way. Well, of course, less the split on the entrance
Of
fee.
course, yeah. We'll let
There.
Uncle Sam take his money first. Perfect. All right. Well, I feel good about those.
I do too. All right. Well, I mean, listen, we could sit here and try and break down the game in a billion different ways. Scott Colby does want to know, does Harrison Butker make sense in DFS lineups, or is going kicker not a smart move? I can't say it's not a smart move, but these are two teams here, in my opinion, that know that you have to score touchdowns to win this game.
Right.
This isn't like, I'm going to try and I got to come away with the points here. And we see Harrison Butker kick like 3 field goals.
Right. And in most cases, you have to create yourself such a crazy, you have to, there's correlation between kickers and defenses kind of in single game slates where you now need to because you're taking so many star players out for the kicker to be one of the best options that now you almost need to start putting defenses in the lineup and saying okay, what if the Chiefs blow them out completely? Then it's like Chiefs defense, kicker, bunch of Chiefs players, one Eagle, right? You kind of need to paint those narratives. What is the world where this game is a shootout, but Butker is one of the higher scoring players? It's just it's a tough narrative to draw up. Or I guess a ton of Eagles and Butker lineup. I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying it. Plus, that sounds like a lame Super Bowl. I don't want that. Nobody wants that.
All right. Well, as we wrap up today's show, and first and foremost, again, thank you everybody for tuning in here. We always appreciate you guys doing that. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor and click that like button. We'd love you to subscribe. We got so many different shows that are coming out. Once the Super Bowl ends, we've got all the NBA DFS shows. Colby Conway and I are doing Caught Stealing, the MLB Fantasy Baseball podcast. I'm bringing back Getting Buzzed as soon as the Super Bowl is over. So we got a lot going on there. So if you subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page, you'll never miss a show. And we've got a ton of great stuff going on there. If you're watching us on Twitter or Twitch or somewhere else, do me a favor, click over to the YouTube channel here and just give us a little like. Oh, see, like Joey Wright just stepped in here. What? I just got here.
Time to get out of here, dude.
Right?
Joey, you're going to have to watch on replay.
I was like, what is that smell? What was that? I thought one of my cats just destroyed the litter box, but now I know it's Joey Wright here.
It's that Florida boy. That Florida boy and the Gator boy in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's wrap this up for Joey Wright then. Let's give our favorite prop. Let's give our picks against the spread here for this game. And we've already seen Joey. You'll have to rewind for our DFS lineup deliciousness, but
yeah,
there's a nice little tight end heavy kind of lineup that we're building.
Oh yeah. So,
but all right,
I'm liking for props. I'm liking a couple of the long boys. Plus, they're fun to root for, right?
Yes.
Rooting for the big play, and when the big play happens, everyone's doing high fives. You get a little extra high five because you made money. So, I like Xavier Worthy over 20.5 yards. You can get that on FanDuel -106 is the lowest I've seen. If anyone else sees better than that, send it to me. I'll double down. I also like the Saquon Barkley ground boy, which we saw at 23.5 is, I believe, where it's sitting. And you got to decide if you want to bet on more yards with the the less juice or the shorter yards. I always go with the higher yards and the less juice because what are the odds that the carry he has is exactly 23 yards and you get cooked. So those are the two main props I like there. You do your props and then we'll talk game.
All right, I gave it out already. Noah Gray over 1.5 receptions. I got that at +110. I'm going to drop that in there. Dallas Goedert over 4.5 receptions. And I also, you know what? The line moved up, but I did get Travis Kelce over 5.5 receptions as well. It's nice. At over 6.5 now at +120. So, I'm not gonna screw around with that one there. Like I said, I'm doing some volume betting here for the Super Bowl. full betting card is over there at fantasyalarm.com. I'll keep adding to it and keep retweeting it so that you guys can check that out. Once you go over there, bookmark the page. So there's 3 tight end props for you right there. And then I'll give you one because I've been giving out props on my social media channels there. Jalen Hurts, over 215.5 passing yards. Like we just kind of talked about this, right? I'll just give you like the quick sum up here. But, if you're talking about Steve Spagnuolo not using 2 high safeties because he needs to worry about stopping or slowing down Saquon Barkley, you're going to see a lot of one-on-one situations for A.J. Brown. The Chiefs' pass defense does funnel targets towards the slot receiver. That's going to be a lot of Devonta Smith. It's going to be a lot of Dallas Goedert as well. So, I mean, I think I would bet it up to 220 if it does go start going up at all. But Jalen Hurts over 215.5 passing yards. So tight ends, 1 QB there, Coop.
I'm going to give out the tackle monster on the Sirius XM show when I'm on either Thursday or Friday, whenever we're talking about him.
Ooh.
I'm still trying to find the right line. It's a player we're very much familiar with if we get the line, but I'm going to end up betting it's Zach Bond. But we got to wait and see where the right line is for that. But make sure you're tuning into those shows.
All right. Well, so those are our props. We gave you the DFS lineup. Bum, 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 bum. Ultimate pick here. Which way are we going? Chiefs -1.5. The over-under is at 49. Do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I think that as much as I will be rooting for the Eagles, I think the Eagles losing by 1 point is where I think this one ends. I think it's going to be a close one. So I am going to bet the Eagles at getting the 1.5. Going to keep my finger on the live bet button in case Saquon Barkley's getting really shut down early, but I am going to bet the Eagles at 1.5. If the line was 1, though, then I probably wouldn't bet the Eagles.
I'm betting the Chiefs. I'm laying the points. I'm okay with that. Absolutely. Chiefs are going to win. Chiefs are going to three-peat. And I've got the under on this game.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this game and I'm like, yeah, I mean, like this could be like a 24-21 type of a game, maybe a 23-20 type of a game. Like I'm ticking on the under here. I just think these 2 defenses are so strong, and both coaches, well, more Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio, not so much Nick Sirianni. But I just think that there's such strong defensive, such strong coaches that I think that they kind of keep the scoring down a little bit here. I don't think this is going to be like one of those big runaway games.
Right. And the chess match of all the, the pre-snap motion to figure out what everybody's doing on defense, like I think that's going to hurt the tempo of this game. I think it's going to be a chess match, lower tempo type game. So I'm with you. I have the under as well.
All right. So 2 unders. He's taking the Eagles plus the points. I'm taking the Chiefs and I'm laying the points. And you know what I did, by the way, just so you know, my same game parlay, Chiefs money line, the under, Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown.
Ooh,
650 plus 650 on BetMGM.
Oh, not bad.
Who knows?
Lock it in.
Lock it in. All right. That's going to do it for us here on the show. Again, thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott Kobe, for this last comment to troll Andrew Cooper. It's probably one of my favorite things there. I don't know what channel the Patriots are playing on this Sunday.
Boo.
And nobody knows that.
Okay. This shirt has 4 Super Bowls. They got the 6. So Mahomes might match this shirt, but this shirt goes back in the closet, and I'll pull out the 5 Super Bowl shirt for next year.
Oh, there you go. This shirt here, this has got, well, that's, nope, doses, everybody.
There you go. Vegas
dead shirt. There it is. All right. We got to get out of here. Thank you all again. For Andrew Cooper, I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. We thank you all for joining us here, as always, again. And guess what? We will indeed catch you next time.